I think is both pro. It's just different than before because before people would say retard, gay, faggot, chink, the N word. See, even that is a thing. Like you could say chink, but you can't say the actual N word. You have to say N word. You can't say the word. But chink, you don't have to say the C word. You could just say that. So that kind of shows you which slur is a little more respected, as you would say. But then people will argue, oh, African Americans, black people, they have it a lot worse than Asians did. So that, that word holds more weight. And I'd agree with that. Not that Asian people didn't have it bad. They also had it terrible. We were also slaves. We built railroads. You know this. Everybody does. But black people just had it a longer time, and more of them was treated poorly and enslaved than the Asians. So now we can't, a lot of people can't say any of those words, any slurs. But before, people would just say it. Like some majority white people would even say the actual N word, to the as a joke, even maybe 10, 15 years ago, that not super long ago. I don't know because the thing is, like, yeah, it is definitely terrible, but what I don't know is that I feel like there's so many like layers to it, because one of them would be, I feel like even now some people have good intention, but it's just the vernaculars they use is just very still old. Like if somebody was in their 40s or 50s, if they have really good intention, it's just their vernacular is still old school and it's not politically correct. But they're kind-hearted. Like if they work with kid with special needs and they make a joke and said retard, is that okay? Like, I don't know, because they're helping those kids. He's helping those kids and doing everything he could for them. And if he just makes a joke about kid with special needs, would that be okay? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, or like, for example, if somebody was deaf and then you have a deaf family member and you make a deaf joke, is that okay? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like the people who are getting offended most are people who feel guilty because they're never around those people. So they just go, oh, how can you say that? Their feelings are hurt. It's like, how do you know their feelings are hurt? You don't even know a person that is of, this is a perfect example. This is a personal experience. So one day after the show, in Las Vegas, this guy, I did okay, and after the show, there's this guy from the South, because, Vegas is, crowds from everywhere, all over the world, all over America. And this guy, you could tell he's from the South because of his accent. He was like, hey, man, he's a little drunk. He's like, hey, man, where's the Asian comedian? He just says Asian comedian when I told everybody my name. And maybe he forgot, and that's okay. He just goes, where's the Asian comedian at? And then I was with two of acquaintances from LA, and they're both like, oh my God, that is so fucking rude that he would say that to you. He would even say that in public. That is so like, oh my God, how could he? And then he's like, hey man, where's the Asian comedian? I was like, hey, I'm right here. And he comes over. He's like, hey man, I just want to say you did a great job today and you really made my night, man. And I was like, hey man, thank you so much. He's like, I just want to tell you that, keep doing what you're doing. I really enjoyed it. I do a really bad Southern accent. But he dapped me up, pounded, and then he left. He came with good intention. He just wasn't raised. He was raised saying chink probably. He's like, call these Asians chinks. His father probably said that. But What I'm saying is that he came over, he did that positive energy. I felt it. Was it correct to say, hey, the Asian comedian? No, it's not. But the thing is, he wasn't educated enough in today's society, or the PC term to use, but I know his intention, and it's just he's gonna go back to wherever the South he's from, and he's gonna continue using those vernaculars around his friends. And is that the best thing? No. But did he have good intentions? Yes. And the thing is this: the acquaintances that I was with, they kept on being, after he left, they're like, oh my God, can you believe him? I am so embarrassed. I'm so sorry. And then I was like, bro, it's okay. Like, it's totally fine. He didn't have bad intentions. He wanted to come and give me some love and support, and I loved it. It was nice. And then they did it again. And again, they were like, oh my God, oh my God, I just can't believe people here in Las Vegas does that. By the way, Las Vegas is a sample size of the whole United States and a little bit of the world. So, yeah, because the acquaintance I have is from LA, and I feel like these big cities, people are very woke and very like PC, which is great too. But the thing is, like, you have to understand, most of the people are not like that. They're not as sensitive. So when they come with good intention, give them a break. If it would have been different if the guy was like, where's the goddamn stupid chink that was doing jokes? And then he comes and he goes, fuck your jokes, you chink. Go back to your country. Then that would be really rude. That would be really rude. And I wouldn't enjoy that at all, because that's bad intentions. But that wasn't his intent. He was come here to show me love. So when the acquaintance did it again, they're like, oh man, I can't believe it. Like, if I'm not offended, why are you offended? Like, I understood his intention, and it's not like I'm gonna do a TED talk and like a seminar for him, and to be like, hey man, do you know that it's not actually okay to do that, to say that's word, call me Asian. It's like, am I not Asian? Where's the Asian comedian? Right here. Here I am. Comedian, check. Asian, also check. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, but some people could be super too, and it's like, I understand the acquaintances, they're trying to have good intentions too, because their intention is not to be malicious and use a correct terminology so that I don't get offended. But it's like if I'm not offended, then you shouldn't be. And if you see somebody with good intention, then you should accept that, because you could, and if they're your good friends with good intention but bad vocabulary or not PC vocabulary, maybe you could adjust it. Maybe you could give them a note, in a slight way. Be like, hey, I don't really like, when you talk like that about me, or whatever the thing is. And if they're good friends, they would change it. I'm sure if I told a guy, hey, I really don't like being addressed that way, I'm sure he would change it, but because he was showing love. And some people say, oh, people are too sensitive now compared to before. And it's like, before, is it better before, or is it better now? I think it's great that we have now, because before there isn't a clear spectrum. It's just really extremely on one end of offensive. It's like everybody's like, super racially insensitive. Like, fuck your mom, you chink, or like, fuck your mom, you baner. Oh, fuck your mom, all the stereotypes that people would say, and that's not great, because people's feelings are getting hurt. I think mostly people, why we made the adjustment of being more sensitive, is mostly for kids. It's not for adults, really, because kids is like, they don't want them to feel a certain type of way. At least for me, like, I wouldn't want my kids to feel a certain type of way. But then when you're adults, like, you could joke around it to a certain degree. I mean, everybody has a different preference of how sensitive they are, but it's like, sorry, I just want to go back to what I was saying, that when before it was really extreme, but there wasn't a spectrum of like the majority of people being sensitive and saying like, hey, this is not okay. But now people are like, hey, this is not okay, to the extreme. So it's like, I'm glad that we have a people spoke up and people are caring about other people's feelings. But I think now, since we see the both spectrums now, we could just come into the middle and be like, hey, some people are more extreme this end and that end, but at the end of the day, we should just judge each other by the intentions, because to me, that is the most important. Because if your intention is to love and to help and you just don't have the right words, who gives a fuck? Like, if you work in a homeless shelter, volunteer at a homeless shelter or a soup kitchen, or you donate or you give your time in those areas and you go, man, homeless people smell like shit. Like, as a joke, who cares? They do smell. And if you're joking around, but you're still helping, making a difference in somebody else's lives, if dude, it will be hilarious if, like, my Asian friends or whoever, like, if I'm really close with another ethnic and race of a person, and we're really close friends, and he's like calling me names, I think it's hilarious because you're not supposed to. That's why you say a thing that you're not supposed to. It's hilarious. But I would expect the same friend in public not to say those things. If he would call me a slur in public in front of other friends or other people that I don't know, then he's not a real friend. Then he's really insensitive if he's calling me slurs in front of people that we both don't know, because that's showing other people it's okay to do that. But if he's only doing it in private, just me and him, we're friends. And if he respects me outside of the context of just being out in public, and if he respects it and never calls me a name in front of others, showing that it's not okay just to say those things without knowing somebody first, then this guy has respect for me and my heritage. But it's just that when we're in private, we just like to jerk each other's chains, as they say, bust each other's balls, and that's fine, So there's like lines, and intentions that people have. And I think that if you grow up where people just never joke around with you, if you're good friends, that's like weird, because you also need to develop a thick skin as a human being, because words, what is that song where sticks and stones may break my bones, but words don't hurt me? That's a real thing. It's like, I'm not saying words are nothing, because words are very powerful. That's how there are laws and how people implement. Like, words are so powerful. But when it comes to somebody who's just trying to be malicious, you just brush it off, because it's like, as kids, I think you have to understand, like, words are not the least, but one of the lesser things that you have to learn to not worry about as much and just stay focused on what's positive and actual physical threat, instead of somebody call you a name. And I think it's also necessary as growing up in the grow up process, that kids will call you names so that like, oh, they don't, they're hurt. People hurt, but they're like, oh, trying to say stuff and try to be hurtful or whatever. But I don't know. I think that there is pros and cons to both extremes, like being very insensitive, and also pros and cons being too sensitive. But I think it all starts with parenting. I think it all starts with how you teach, how you communicate with your kids, you know? Um, but I really feel like if we all just start from a good place with good intentions, why does it matter really? You know, I think intention is if every family taught their children to have good intentions and just respect other people's um, wants. Like if somebody's uber sensitive and they go, "Hey, I would not like to be called whatever, whatever," then just respect that. But that parent also have to be like, "Hey, if you don't like something that people do, say it to them." Like teach your kids young and to let them know to speak up, not in an aggressive way at first, just to communicate. Just be like, "Hey, man, I don't like that you call me a pudding cup, tablespoon face. I don't know what that means, but I didn't like it. So then I don't want it to be called out again." Um, but on the subject of being sensitive, and having good intentions, comedy is. This is what I want to address about comedy. Like some people have good intentions, but their thinking is so old school and so outdated that they still do those jokes. Like but it's so boring. Like I know their intention is to make people laugh, but it's like there's not, but people still, it's still like I've heard these comics, they just make Asian sounds. They just go, "Oh ho 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 ho, I am Chinese," like that. Even when I was doing that, I felt so gross. But they would do that, and then people would laugh because the accent sounded funny to people who don't speak Mandarin and have like an accent. And I could see how Mandarin or Asian accents are a little more comical than others, but I don't know if that's also just the reinforcement of year after year of depicting Asian stereotypes and Asian accents as like this goofy, stupid, comical character over the years. I don't know if it's that, but some comics, their intention is to make the masses laugh, but in the just doing that sound, it's like, or like they'll go like, "Oh yeah," they will do all the stereotypes. Like I hate when people do stereotype jokes because it's like it's been done so many times. It's like, "Oh, Asian people are bad drivers. Black people like to eat chicken and have bad credit. Mexicans are lazy and border hoppers." I mean, there is truth, a little bit of truth in all of that, but it's like, "Oh, you're just gonna." It's just, I don't know. It's just, I feel like it's really unoriginal and lazy to just do stereotype stuff, unless you have like a take to it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just so. Some people still do those jokes, even if their intentions is just to make people laugh. But it's like, come on. Like, really, you going to do that? Like, you have however much time on stage, 15 minutes, an hour, and you chose that to be. People paid money to come watch you perform. You could say anything you want to, and that's the thing you chose? It's the ho 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 ho, or like, "Oh, this brown guy is a border hopper," or like, "This black guy has bad credit," or the black people don't have their fathers, or whatever. Like, it's even black comedians will do their same stereotypical black jokes. Same with Asians, will do our stereotypical, and it's like you're gonna keep perpetuating that. Like, even if it's there's slight truth into it, you could say anything else. You could make a joke about anything else in your own life, in society, in your family, in your life, and this is the thing that you chose, is the stereotypes. Is like, but And this is another thing too, is like yeah, like I don't know. It's so hard to say. Like I don't really have a strong opinion in a thing. Like I'm a comic, so it's like laugh is being able to say whatever to make people laugh is the number one priority. Yes, but the thing is, what if the things that you say repeatedly, like if you're just trying it out and you said the wrong thing, hey, that's fine because you're just trying it out. But if you are like, this is my joke that I've been working on for the past year and this is how I'm going to do it, and it's like bad, then don't, it's like, because the people, I don't know, people, I think comics should always push the envelope, as they say, to challenge what is okay to say and what's not okay to say, because that's how freedom of speech is in place, because you get to say whatever. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to have repercussions for from what you say, because there's a lot of sensitive subjects, like for example abortion, guns, you know cancer, suicide. Like there's so many sensitive topics that people feel uneasy hearing because they may be caring how other people feel about it. Um, but I don't know. I think if it's done tastefully, I don't know. But even cancer patients can laugh at cancer jokes, like like there's blind there's this blind comic who does blind jokes because he's blind, so he's talking about his experience. And comics would do blind jokes that he would laugh at, because it's like they're friends. And then um like it's weird if you don't address something. It's weird if somebody's blind and then you pretend like he's not. It's not like every day you're like, hey, blind man. Like that's annoying. But if once in a while, if you have a tasteful joke, or like a in a situation where it's clever to do a blind joke, they should also get it, because it's like everybody has their thing. And it's just, we're all, if you don't address it, it's weird. Like for example, if I'm losing a leg and you're just not even looking at my leg, if you don't address it at all, it's so weird, because it's like, say it so that we could, if you address it, then you go, yeah. It's like if somebody meets me and they go, where are you from? And I'm like, I can't believe you asked me where I'm from. What do you mean, where are you from? It's like, what's your ethnic background? He's like, what do you mean, what's my ethnic background? Why does it matter? If I say that's weird of me to say that, because it's like, yeah, I'll address where I'm from and then we can move on from that, because it's like the elephant in the room. Maybe for some people they don't see color, or they don't see the ethnic thing first, or whatever. But I'm just saying that, like, we should just address whatever the thing first, and everybody should get roasted and should, if you're, again, it's like, I don't know. It's such a case by case thing. But I think at the end of the day, if you have good intentions and you're doing it in a tasteful way, and not just a really old recycled way of making fun of someone, um, I think it's fine. Good intentions, tasteful. Who cares? Because there's love. Like, if you could make fun of me and my mother, but if I was struggling and you're helping me out with whatever, if I fall, you help me up, you pay for my meal, I pay for yours. And if I need something, you help me, give me a ride, we're friends. What am I? And if we're friends and you make fun of me or whoever, is like, why does it matter? You love me. Why does it matter? Is the thing. So just, I guess, just have good intentions out there, everybody, and just give each other the benefit of the doubt, and try not to be assholes. And if somebody is an asshole, you know, um they're hurting. That's why we've all been in a place where we're hurting so much that we feel like hurting others as a kid or as an adult. So just try to be more understanding. I try to, and sometimes it's hard. It's always anger first. Whoever cuts you off or bumps you on the street, it's always anger first. You're like, how could you? I want to get him back. But then the second is like, yeah, but what's he going through that he needs to do this to me to feel better about himself or herself, you know? Um, so yeah, just try to be understanding of each other is all. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. And please subscribe, comment, or like the shit if you want to. If not, um, thank you for listening. Okay. Bye bye. Till next time.